What's going on, guys? About to head to the gym, do some deadlifts with Kaylee and Duffin and Doyle, and then get back here, start writing an article that I'm working on for insulin, and then get ready for the weekend. But before I do that, just want to quickly touch on a few things pertaining to, if it fits your macros type of stuff. And a lot of times when I get clients, I give them a questionnaire, they fill it out, and I base their diet on the questionnaire and on the conversations we've had. And a lot of times, or every time, I give them their macros meal by meal in order for it to have nutrient timing and in order for it to be based on, their schedule and stuff. So a lot of times they'll come back and be like, oh, I didn't know you did if it fits your macros. And quite honestly, all diets are if it fits your macros. That it's just suddenly been coined that over the last 3 to 5 years. But every diet is based around macros and calories, but now they want to give it a fancy name, which is fine. But if you're going to do the if it fits your macros type stuff, a few things that you want to look at, right? And if you're going to have a good coach, or if you're going to do it on your own, is one, you don't get macros for the day and then you partition it however you feel like it. A good coach, or when you're setting up your plan, will partition your macros per meal based on when you work out. And, that way you can partition carbs and minimize fat around your workouts. So a lot of times, people sign up for these coaches and they think, oh, okay, well, they gave me my macros, and as long as I meet them, then I'll be good, because obviously calories in versus calories out is the most important thing when it comes to weight loss. But you got to consider, as an athlete, your performance is highly important. And the more and more you start to diet, the more and more those calories and the quality of those calories and the timing of those calories play a huge role in how you perform in the gym, right? If your main goal is to just lose weight and not really care about how you perform and not really care so much about how you look, but it's just to drop some weight, then fit your macros in however you want. Fast all day so you can have, ice cream and shit at night, and that's great. Perfect. You'll still lose weight because you're in a calorie deficit and you're meeting your macros. But as an athlete, and as a really good athlete, you have to set those macros up to base around your performance, right? Because if you go to the gym and you're hoarding macros at night so you can have some ice cream, your performance is going to suck. You're not going to burn as many calories, and you're not going to get the benefit of the workout. You burn more calories throughout the day and into the next day, depending on how hard you're able to push yourself in the workout. So if your coach just gives you a set of macros to meet for the day and doesn't really give you any guidelines, fire that coach immediately. Also, if they don't tell you the importance of food quality over just processed whatever, fire the coach, get a new one. Obviously, the great thing about if it fits your macros is you have a lot of choice and variety. One of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of times that people fall into with if it fits your macros is that they follow these coaches online that are genetically predisposed to being lean. They've been lean their whole life, they've been super skinny their whole life, and then these coaches go and promote the negative side of if it fits your macros by telling you can eat a bunch of processed junk throughout the day and stay lean just like them. And you have to take into consideration your body type, your genetics. If you've never been lean before and you go around eating processed food and not really paying too much attention to quality of food, it's going to be really hard for you to get lean based on that. Just because it fits your macros doesn't mean necessarily that you can eat things that are junk, but because it fits a certain macro scheme or calorie count, you're going to look a certain way because your coach looks that way. Some people endomorphs, some people that have been big their whole life that are trying to lose weight. Unfortunately, you have to work a lot harder than people that have been skinny and lean their whole life, which goes around the other way. Those people that are trying to put on weight, that have been skinny and lean their whole life, have to work a lot harder than endomorphs trying to gain weight, you know. So everyone has to put in their time, but you got to understand, as a person, as an individual, when you're trying to find the right nutrition plan to fit your needs and your performance goals, you don't really always want to go towards the one that's the easiest or that sounds the best, because you get more freedom to eat junk. You know, if you're one of those people that have a hard time losing weight, losing fat, but you have a really easy time gaining it, you know, that's something that you really want to think about when it comes to designing your macro plan and designing the food you consume. Now, one of the huge great things about If You Fit Your Macros is definitely the variety and the time and place where you can add things, you know, to and get away with it, you know. But that comes with nutrient timing as well, right? So say you're kind of jonesing for something sweet, you know, if you have a macro plan set up and post-workout or pre-workout you have X amount of carbs to eat for that day, definitely add something sugary, low in fat, you know, whatever it is to meet your macros. That'll be the best time to consume it for that particular plan. You know, me personally, I tend to add things in post-workout, like bagels and jam or some type of cereal sometimes. Sometimes I stick to very basic stuff like white rice and chicken and barbecue sauce. You know, so it kind of, that's the great thing about it, is it lends itself to a variety of different foods, different sources, which the more you know, add these foods and play with them, the better you're going to see what goes well with your body and what foods you digest well. You know, that's one of the major pluses about If It Fits Your Macros, is that it's designed to be a way of learning how to eat food that your body digests well, gives you a wide variety so that you're not restricting yourself, and it also allows you some freedom and leeway to move things around and manipulate things a little bit. You know, the bad thing is that people tend to get away from the actual concept of diet and If It Fits Your Macros, you know, with nutrient timing, with fibrous vegetables, with things like that, and they don't really think about performance in the long run. They think about, well, okay, what's the best way I can get the most junk in? You know, not everyone's like that, but some people are, and some coaches promote that. You know, so you got to make sure that you find the right coach, and there are plenty out there that promote good, healthy, If It Fits Your Macro style to meet your performance goals. And if you want a little bit more variety and a little bit more leeway in how you do your diet, then that's a good route to go. Definitely nothing wrong with that, for sure. You know, you definitely don't want to go the route of where, you know, somebody gives you a meal plan and it's eat this food, that food, like they already know exactly what foods go well and digest well with your body. You know, it's all about finding the right plan for you, supplementing it to fit your needs and to fit what your performance goals are, because we are performance-based athletes first, and then go from there, design your plan, take it week by week, you know, add different things in here and there to see how your body reacts to it. And from there, you have a plan that you can follow pretty much for the rest of your life, adjusting macros accordingly, and, you know, having little snacks here and there. The biggest thing, one of the bigger takeaways is, you know, as a performance athlete, we try to get in more meals and not as many snacks. If you snack a lot and you're not really paying attention to nutrient timing or, you know, the quality of the food, whereas it could be, you know, the fat profile or the amino acid profile or, you know, anything like that, then you're gonna have real issues when it comes to body composition and performance goals at the same time. So just a few things to consider when it comes to If It Fits Your Macros. A great strategy to use if it's implemented the correct way and if you find a really good coach. Until next time, guys, take care.